Hey, what's up everyone? Eric here. So today I'm going to show you how I use AI to create a step-by-step instruction that will help me use Canva to create a logo. Now, for those who haven't been watching, if this is your first video, my name is Eric and my goal is to test out all these automation and apply it in real life business situations and see if they work. For example, creating this logo for a t-shirt company, for example. So for very quick context, if you haven't seen my other two videos yet, I made one video a few days ago where I used Gemini against Canva just to see what results those yield and got me very far, but it didn't get me all the way there. And in fact, what we're looking at right now, this is from Gemini. And I can go a deep dive in a separate video, but without boring you with all the context that I've already covered, I've also made a second video using Claude, and I use their connector feature where Claude is connected to Canva, and I also tried that as well in a second video. So go watch those if you haven't already, but today we're going to focus on how I'm going to use Gemini to finish up this video, this logo, because it is my third day in trying to get this thing done, and I would say I'm 95% there, and fine-tuning it with LLM is just not the right way to go. If you want to see, you know what, I need to show you the fails that I've had, and so you will understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, you know, the logo itself looks like it's done, except if we look close enough, the spacing between this little separated bar and fit is smaller than the bottom of fit to this separated bar in the bottom. And if we look at this spacing here, again, it's also not the same on both sides. So it looks center-ish, but it's not really, and that's bothering me. And then in certain formats, for example, in the horizontal format, it renders correctly on screen, but then when I go to download, it was also doing this thing where the bar goes way out to the G. And I tried troubleshooting it with LLM. It even generated all these tools for me to adjust and fine tune, which I think was amazing. But at the end of the day, I would say I've spent a couple of hours to get me to here, and then I've spent maybe 2-3 days now trying to get to that last 10%, last 5%. So that's why I'm doing this. So with that said, let's jump right in. So what I did was I prompted Gemini, and I basically said, hey, at this point, we've given it enough effort and time, and I think we've reached the limit of LLM, of a general purpose LLM. Do this for me instead. We're going to go with Canva Pro, and you're going to give me a step-by-step instruction on how to use Canva Pro. Personally, I have no experience using Canva. I barely have any experience using Adobe Photoshop. For background, I've worked on product teams and I interacted and worked with a lot of designers and design teams. However, on the personal, professional level, I have not done design work myself in graphics design. I've done some other interior design work in a different life, but for the purpose of this video, my digital design experience really ends with just photography and Lightroom. So some exposure to digital designs, but not a whole lot. Okay, with that said, here is what Gemini came back with. And then for easier visualization, I'm actually created or exported this information into a Google Doc. So let's just get this ready, and let me get my screen set up. Okay, so I've exported the Gemini report into a Google Doc. So now this I can, with this I can easily refer back to it, and I can keep prompting Gemini and still maintain my instructions. I don't foresee needing to revise this a whole lot more. Of course, if I did, then in the Gemini screen, I can always re-export it a second time. But otherwise, I can just scroll to where this is, and this one would, this file would auto refresh within Gemini, but not in the doc. So that is one downside. That said, now I have tabs and everything, so that makes life a little bit easier to navigate. So that's on my left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen here, I've just logged in and gonna get started. So to do this, phase one, create a file, create design, custom size, enter dimensions. Well, okay, so this is not it. I want a square, but let's just start. So custom size, and then width, I am going to use 4500 instead of 54 in that height. I know this is the standard printful design t-shirt design, but I'm going to use my logo for other things as well, and it needs to be square. Okay. And then it says, name this as my master logo format. Okay, well, I don't see a name section. Establish brand color. So let's see here. Let's add a new color. Rainbow icon with a plus. Okay. 11111. And this calls it a dark gray. Okay. Do I add another one? Let's go with FF4A00 and then enter. Ah, you know what? It actually did not save my color. Oh, this is my background color. No, I don't want that. Add a new color. You know what? I think I selected the wrong place. This is the background color. I need to go somewhere else. So let's clear that. Can I undo this color? Does Control Z work? Nope. Control Z is taking me to a bunch of other places. This is the fun part of watching me design. Okay, let me just get rid of this background first. And let me read my instructions a little bit more carefully. I think I'm gonna get rid of the tabs and also resize my screen a little more. If you're curious what that is, this is the rock in the background. All right. Enough motivations to work out there, I guess. All right, so I am going to name my file. Okay. This is FFG's master logo assets. Okay. Got the file name. And then in the design, click anywhere on an element and then click on the color swatch at the top of the toolbar. Okay. This is master background color. Is that what I want? Doesn't seem like that's what I want. Document colors. Click the rainbow plus, enter a brand hex. I did, except that doesn't let me save it, does it? F. Okay, what that is. Ah, okay. So this is where I saved the name of the color. Crisp white. Okay. And then let's try brand black. And that would be 111111. Got it. And then, hey, we're getting somewhere. Energetic orange, which would be FF4A00. Hey, it would be FF4A00. Aha, perfect. Now I've got 3 colors for my logo, and this is our brand color. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Number 3, enable the ruler and guide. So put the file, settings, show rulers. I've already got that. Perfect. And then phase 2, I've asked it to imagine if Gemini was Steve Jobs. What is Steve Jobs gonna do if he was here today? So I go to text and I type the word form. Okay, easy enough. In the top toolbar, change it to the font that I want. Okay, so my font that I have decided on, which Gemini has come up with, is the Montserrat. And then I'm gonna make this bold. Okay, duplicate this. So, okay, Control D, it says. All right. And then we're gonna change this to fit. This should be all caps. And then I'm gonna make this gains, again, in all caps. All right, create the separator, press R on the keyboard and create a rectangular shape. Well, there you go. Resize it to a thin horizontal line and set its color to, how do I know how large to make this bar? And how do I apply this color? No, that is not what I want. Let me change it back to FF4A00. Hopefully this is not too boring for some of you guys. Just testing out different formats here. This building in public thing is new to me, so hoping this is useful for some people. I imagine that as I'm following instructions here, it's not the most interesting to do, but it is it has been helpful for me to watch some other folks in building these tools. So I figured I'll pay it forward by doing the same if someone was interested or in the same boat as me. So I actually don't know how to apply this color here because I've got the bar. Set as color duplicate so you have two. Well, sure. Let's move this. Am I even in the center of this thing? Let's move these to see if I'm centered first. Okay, this is center. I'm starting with that, and then I'm gonna center the bar. Can I right click this color for colors? Let's see here. Alternative, copy, paste, align to page, show element timing. No, I don't need that. Text color, but this is not text though. How would I apply this color here? I'm just gonna duplicate this for now. And do that. Okay. It's really cool that Canva just helps you click and drag and then it tells you roughly where things fit. And see, look, this was very simple to get everything with equal spacing. I mean, gosh, why was it so difficult to do in LLM? Well, because it's not meant for this type of design and arrangement. Okay, so I didn't realize, this is silly, but there was a save button here after all the colors were created. So I'm going to guess that now I can just click. Okay, I don't want it to shuffle like that. Color palette. How would I? Huh, that's actually kind of cool, but not what I was going for. Um, wow, Canva, why is it so difficult to use a color? Am I just, I must be missing something that's really obvious. Um, Time for me to ask some questions to Gemini. So here I'm encountering two question marks here. One, how to actually apply the color onto these bars, and then two, I've also got a really large space here. I've got 4,500 pixels. I'm not sure how to scale it to the right proportion. So in Gemini, I'm gonna close out of that. Great. I am following your step-by-step instructions and ran into two questions. So this would be phase 1, item 2. Actually, phase 2, item 2. And ran into a few questions. Now I'm going to use bullet point to be more clear. In phase 1, you specified a 4,500 pixel by 5,400 pixel file size, I guess. I went ahead with a perfect square instead at 4,500 by 4,500. Okay. So what I've noticed with LLM is that you have to be as specific as possible in order to get good output, to maximize your output. If you're generic, then it gives you something generic, which may work in some instances, but for the purpose of this logo here, and knowing what I've known the last 3 days of prompting, it doesn't hurt to be specific here. So that said, my question is, actually I can just go ahead with how large of a font do I make? Do I specify? So to make this font proportional to the size of the file. I understand that we will save and resize later based on the requirements of different platforms, such as Facebook, IG, Gmail, YouTube, and TikTok. Similarly, how large do I make this separator? Okay, second question is, I've saved the color, and this was in phase 1, item 2. In phase 1, item 2, I follow the instructions to create and save the different colors, but I don't actually know how to apply it to my separator bars or any of the text, for example. Is it a click and drag or something else? Be specific. Okay, those are the top 2 burning questions I have. So let's see what Gemini comes back with. I'm sure it's something very obvious that I'm just missing. And just so you know, this is the Gemini 2.5 Pro. The way I've been using it lately is really think through a lot of the important strategic as well as tactical items that I need to do, be it in a particular software like Canva or my recording software OBS. And I've been using it like a hands-on, one-on-one customer service type of thing, which honestly, like this is freaking amazing because I can't imagine trying to figure this out on my own in a new software. So, all right, let's come back with something here. Proportional sizing and square canvas, blah, blah, blah. Font size. For canvas of that size, a good starting point of the font would be around 800 points. Okay. The goal isn't a magic number, but rather visually balanced. When you start with a final group logo in the center, it should feel substantial, but have plenty of breathing room. Okay, yeah, let's try that. So 800. Oof, not 8100, 800. Yes, large, very large. Okay, so I imagine that needs to get moved, and let me move these two as well. Okay, did not mean to do that. I'm just gonna move everything out of the way so I could easily design here. And I'm gonna drag form and gains on the side as well because I don't want it to be somewhere close to the middle and then have fit somehow drag to the wrong place uh, and confuse myself. So right now that is center. And with this, I'll go ahead again with form. Ooh, this is ginormous. Why is it in a square? That's interesting. I did not expect it to be in a square. Okay, let's go with 800 again. These bars are really starting to get in the way. Hopefully this is giving you an idea of what it's like designing in Canva because I have not have any experience of this in the past. So this is all new to me. And I've always find it useful to watch somebody do the work first in advance so I could kind of learn from what they do. Okay, so now this is center. I don't know what number 6 is. 41. Okay, interesting. But all right, form, fit, gains. Yeah, we want some breathing room on the side. I agree. 800 points is about the right um, size there. And then you just drag to the corner. Let's see. Build the logo, group it, and then drag to the corners of the group object and scale it up or down until it feels perfectly balanced. Okay. Separator size. Height in the stack logo. it's about 15 to 20% of your font's cap height. So if your font is 800, separated height should be 20 to 30 pixels. Okay. How would I do that? Oh, it won't even go smaller than. Oh, it will, I guess. This is very imprecise by dragging it like this. Can I get more specific? Copy, duplicate, align to page. Huh. Well, 20 to 30 pixel. Let's see how I can do that. And then separate the width to be 80% of the width of the gains. Okay. Okay, so I've tried double clicking. If I double click on the bar, I don't see an extra menu. I tried the three dots, which is the same as right click, and I don't see where I can adjust the um, actual pixel size. So I'm gonna try regarding separator size. Where do I specify this 25 to 30 pixel height? And then furthermore, so item 1 and then item 2, I agree with the 80% width of the width of gains text box. However, we're short of counting the boxes on the markers on the ruler, which is imprecise as they are rounded off. How do I know the width and height of our gains text, or any text for the matter? Okay. Let's see what it comes back with. So this is what's been very helpful for me using new tools, because I've done this with a couple of other softwares by now, and I just could not have imagined trying to Google search the answers to these questions or find tutorials on YouTube and Reddit, which is traditionally what I've been doing in the past. So I know these LLMs are not always accurate, and some of these instructions in the past have not worked out like one for one. Like the steps were maybe a little off, or maybe the menu was buried in a different subtask and whatnot, or submenu. But for the most part, it's got me 90% there. So, all right, let's see what it has. Select the separator. Okay. Click on the orange rectangle shape that you're using as separator. Well, that's not. I guess it thinks that I've already applied a color. So let me go back here. I'm going back to one step above. Apply the color. Click on the element that you want to color. This could be a text box like form or shape. Find a color swatch. Look at the toolbar at the very top. Okay. Ah, duh. Okay. Okay. For shape, it'll be solid square showing its current color, and then text, it'll be a letter for underline. Oh, okay. Okay. So back to this resizing thing. I know something simple to change the colors. I wonder why they even show this then. It doesn't need to be this big when I already got a color palette. Oh, I guess I should have entered the font here as well. Brand Force Photos, graphics icons. Yeah, just have not had a chance to build this brand kit, I guess. Okay, continuing on. So I need to select the separator and then go to the positioning. Let's see. Doesn't actually give me positioning. Oh, it's in the extended menu. Okay. Aha. Oh boy. Okay. Center. Don't want it at the top. These are handy to have though. But height. Let's just go with the height first. Let's go with 30. And then the text width. Let's see. For example, it might say 520. Okay, well, let's just see if this is even anywhere close. 416. Apply to a separator. Go back to position and type a calculated 416. Enter. Okay, 416 is way off. That's way too small. All right. So the width of that is 3563. And I'm going to do 80% of that. So that would be 285. No, that's not right. I did 8% instead of 80% in my calculator. So, okay, let's try again. 2850. Okay, that's our bar, which is way outside. Wonder what 6 means. Like, what are you measuring here? Okay, so let's also go with 30 and 2850. I want to grab just the bar, not the text. Yeah, I mean, sorry. Yeah, I want to grab the bar, not the text. And it's what happened to the positioning button? There we go. Positioning, I want it centered. I want this center also, and I want this further down. And I want this higher up. What is 76? I really want to know what 76. Okay, so this is center. All right, now how do I work with the line spacing to make sure these are equal? I have to say this 25 to 30 um, pixel for the bars, I feel like it's a little too small. So let's change that. So annoying, this thing won't click easily. I feel like this needs to be, I'm going to duplicate one just to move around easier without losing my position. Okay, so just for fun, this thing is how tall now? What if we went like the same height? I think that's too large, right? So this would be, let's go with this 130. I don't know what would make this flush. I feel like I'm just pixel pushing here until I get to the exacts. Okay, it's clearly not that, but even then, what, does this look too large? I mean, if it was the same thing as I lost it. I don't know why the mouse cursor moves it so much. Like the increments are way larger than I would like it to be. In fact, this thing is no longer centered for some reason. Just for fun. 2850 and 2850. So if I were to make it as wide as the top horizontal line of T, I think that looks a little too large. And this is really subjective. This is just me guessing around here. Whoa. What was half that? I think half looks more reasonable. Okay, let's just go with half. So I'm going to delete this one and make it center. I don't know how far I need to move this thing though. What does that even mean, 186? Let's go with 80. Well, I'm getting somewhere. This is showing me that this is lined up, but there's not a line that tells me if these two are equal. I'm gonna guess yes. I'm gonna guess this is equal right now. Okay, so now I've got I've read ahead a little bit more. I've got a spacer block that I need to create. So part of the key to making sure all the text here it's all spaced properly is to make a new placeholder block. Let's change the color to, I don't know, let's make it blue. Okay, and then we're gonna create a block that matches the distance from our font to the line, and then see if this matches on the other side. So now, for example, form is too low, and so the key to doing this is actually using your keyboard. Having your keyboard and use the arrow key, that is way better, like fine tuning than using a mouse. See, like right now this is too low, and if I were to use my mouse, then it's way too much movement. So to fine tune it, I basically use my arrow key and see if it touches. Interestingly enough, the bottom of the O looks like it's a little bit lower than the bottom of the F. See, this is crazy to me. Because right now, if I look very, very closely, that F seems to have a space. Like there is daylight in between the blue and the F. But right now, this blue is actually eating into the bottom of the O. Is that just an optical illusion? Because it looks. No, there's definitely daylight. So, let's lower it more. And you know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna change this color to something else, like a bright green or something, like they were suggesting. They, as in Gemini. Um, Spacer block above fit, and then duplicate. Let's see, duplicate the space block, place the second one directly. Okay. Duplicate. All right, so already we can tell the orange bar is too high, and let's just start moving gains out of the way. And then we come back here and we lower this until the spacer block is no longer touching. I think we are close, but not 100% because let's see here. Let me keep fine tuning. I wish there was like a button where you can just snap to the bottom, and I think that's what this is. But it won't snap to the T for some reason. It'll snap to the bottom of the orange, but it won't snap to T. Let's see, does this snap to anything else? If you're a Canva expert, or if you guys are watching, help me out, man. This should be simple. It shouldn't be that difficult. And I'm just having lots of issues because I'm perhaps challenged. So, but I don't know. I can't be the only non designer trying to use this. This is like a lot of your system, I imagine. So I guess I will go down with the arrow again. Use the arrow to go down. Okay. Now this is done, and then I need to. Okay, so this is too much. And there. I think this is it. I mean, we're close to splitting here. So I'm gonna say it's okay to do that. All right, that's snap together. And what is 15 and 3? I don't get it. 1540, 55. Um, hmm. Okay, it seems to be here. So here we go again. If we look at the G, the top of the G is actually like touching orange. Not that this is where I want it, but the top of the A and I, they actually don't touch the orange, which I think is super crazy to me. And even right now, like N seems to be touching my spacer block, but then S somehow got eaten up. So, um, I'm gonna ask Gemini what's up with that. And just for confirmation, so I know I'm not crazy, like this is definitely at 0 degree, and this is also definitely at 0 degree. Yeah, in fact, if I look at the I, looking at the letter I, this looks like it's flush, N looks like it's flush, and then S looks like it's not. Okay, so two more questions. One, when I have the text gains horizontally placed at 0 degrees using the same space block, it's flushed with the I and N, but somehow that means it's eating into the S. But they're all supposed to be equals, to be equally uh, flushed or parallel, if that's the right way to describe it. And then second, um, as I move the words and elements around, there are these purple lines that help guide where I place the text element. However, I would sometimes see a random number such as 3 and 3 or something else. That effect. What does this number mean? What is it? Let's see. Okay, let's see what Gemini says. But I mean, I'm really close. Like I think I'd be okay if this was my final form for my square logo. All right, so the S problem, the eating into the S, this is a topography and graphics design problem, well, concept rather. Every piece of the text of a screen lives inside an invisible rectangular box called a bounding box. Okay. The alignment of the guide snaps into the edges of the invisible box, not the individual pixel. Okay. Extends beyond the hard edge and appears visually aligned. This is an optical trick called overshoot that designer used to make curved letters look like the same. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so that explains why O was also not I guess how do I say O G, and S, they all were overshot, just so we visually look like these are aligned even though they're not. Okay, so if I'm doing it correctly with the spacer block, I should be lining it up with these hard edges. Yeah. And so this form should go up more, I imagine. Ay, ay, ay. I moved it way far out. Okay. And let's go with positioning again. It is center, and I'm gonna lower the word. Um, Sorry if you are watching me move and push pixels. I imagine this is not the most interesting thing to watch. If I get around to editing, I'll try to trim some of this out. Or you can just fast forward through it, I guess. Okay, so that said, I think this is pretty much it. Let's look at what the random purple numbers are. Okay, so back to this Google Doc here. So these are now perfectly aligned, and then what I need to do is delete them. And then I just need to group all of this together. So final alignment grouping. So select all of the elements. How do I select? I guess like this. And then group. Okay. And then I need to center. So position again. Center is already done. And then with everything selected, group, this is now a single perfectly balanced object. Wow, that was something. Um, this video right now, as it stands, it's almost an hour long. It's 52 minutes. I probably spent 5-10 minutes explaining, what I was doing in terms of context. A lot of it was just me following the instructions, and some of it I needed clarification, and I went back to Gemini. Um, but really, if now that I know what I know, I'm gonna go ahead and create my horizontal logo, offline here. So I'm not gonna bore you with the whole rest of this stuff, but um, I can probably tackle this horizontal logo in, I don't know, 20 minutes. Now that I know what I'm doing, or maybe even less. I'm sure for a professional, it will take them way less time. But again, from a solo entrepreneur perspective, uh, with a tool like Gemini, um, I'm able to use it to brainstorm ideas, get to more or less what I want, and then fine tune it and get step-by-step instructions on how to use a professional tool to fine tune what I need. So at least in the logo where this is just a text-based design. Now, if it was much more complicated and it had like, you know, scribbles and other artsy elements in it, maybe it's a lot more difficult. But for what I need, I would go out on a limb and say the majority of the people, this is great. So anyhow, I'm gonna, I think, stop the video here. If you find this content helpful at all, if you're also on a solopreneur journey, um, give me a follow, subscribe and like the video, and I will keep producing content similar to this. I will let me know what works for you. Like, is this video too long, too short? I don't think this is too short for anybody, but if this is the type of video that you're interested in to actually follow along the journey of the good, the bad, and the ugly of building your own product and learning how to use LLMs and AI, yeah, let me know. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.